And joining us now here in the living room is Juliann DosSantos. She joins us here to talk about her book, Footprints on the Journey. And thank you so much for being with us, Juliann.
I'm so happy to be here.
Thanks for making the long drive.
Yeah. We're happy to have you. I understand you work for the Archdiocese of New York as well. Maybe if you could tell us a little bit about your work first before we get into the book.
Sure. I'm a reporter for Catholic New York newspaper. I've been there about 9 years. I cover mostly youth events, so I get to work with a lot of millennials and young adults in the Archdiocese and see kind of what the church is doing for them to help them grow their faith.
Excellent. And I have to ask you, is it anything to do with your work and your faith that caused you to want to put this book together as a real tool for people who are on the Christian journey?
It was. I found when I was interviewing a lot of people that a lot of, especially young adults in their 20s and 30s, they wanted to grow in their faith, but they didn't really know where to start or how to do that. And I found that a lot of them were struggling with things like, you know, a lot of life changes during that time, like finding a new job or, you know, having children and, or, you know, even things like chronic illnesses or addictions. And they were really suffering and losing hope. And I wanted to write this book to show them that they could really have that hope and find it in the Catholic faith and live every day with that Catholic faith and have that hope, you know, keep them solid as they go on in life. And I hope that the journal kind of helps them on their journey to keep that hope.
Gotcha. There's a lot of very personal entries in the book as well. What was it like to sort of bringing yourself out to everyone?
At first it was a little bit scary. Yeah. I kept thinking like, oh my God, who's reading this? What are my parents gonna think? What are my brothers and sisters gonna think? And, you know, my friends. But after a while, I just realized I had to be myself and I had to put myself out there so other people could see that what I was going through, because I knew if I was going through it, there had to be a lot of other people going through it. And the only way I could relate to them is if I really put myself out there. So I felt like it was something I had to do.
I want to thank your good husband who's standing in the shadows over here, who accompanied you on this journy. And congratulations on 8 years of marriage. I'm sure that's been quite a journey as well. And
yes, it
he's
has.
Smiling over there, so a happy
that's a good
one.
Thing, yeah.
You know, there's been a lot of discussion about how the church can better welcome millennials. What's your experience been, or do you have any suggestions?
I think that the biggest thing is to have any kind of event that can give them, or, you know, a personal experience with Jesus. It could be a big event that does that, or a small event like, you know, reading the Bible with another person, or, you know, having a bigger Bible group, or even like a big event like a World Youth Day experience. But somewhere that they could really just experience Jesus personally, so that way, I feel like if they don't have that personal relationship with Jesus, they're not going to want to do the other things that they have to do for their faith. Sure. Like go to Mass and, you know, pray the rosary and things like that, because they don't have that inner part that really is necessary.
In the book, there's a place to write down your own thoughts as you read the entry. Talk about that too, and how that can help people sort of rehash things in their mind, go over things, and make them more thoughtful on everything that they read. Yeah,
I try to, with every entry, ask a question, so that way people can, you know, read about an experience and, you know, kind of have it focused on one aspect of the faith, like contemplation. And then they could write about what they think about that. And they might disagree, they might agree, they might think of something else. And because it is their own journey, they get to write their own thoughts about it. So it kind of is like a create your own adventure type of book, but based on a, you know, your own Catholic faith.
Now here in Boston, you know, we claim to have America's oldest Catholic newspaper, The Pilot. But I noticed on the back of your book that Catholic New York is America's largest Catholic newspaper.
Yes.
Typical, New York. Everything has to be bigger than everyone else. No kidding, I'm just kidding. But Catholic New York, CNY.org is a great newspaper. And I know it's a struggle to keep Catholic newspapers going, but it's an important struggle, isn't it?
It definitely is. I think that you have to have that Catholic voice in the world just to counteract the secular media. And it might be hard, but it's something that has to be out there, and I'm just glad to be a part of it.
Tell us about where people can find out about your blog, about the book, and any other information.
Sure. They can find it at cny.org, and also on Facebook, just Footprints on the Journey. But the first place they can find it is just at cny.org.
And you were saying to us before the show that this is the first book that was printed by Catholic New York.
Yes, it is.
That's great.
That's
a
great.
milestone.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Juliann, for being with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It's fun.
It was.
And it goes by really quick.
Yeah.